Hello everyone, thanks for joining today's session. My name is Cyril. I will be your instructor for your day. Please do let me know if my voice is bit low. I am a little bit under fever, so if you find anything you haven't understood it yet, right, you can straight away ask that question. I am also sharing my screen, so please give me a vocal confirmation if my audio and video is clear to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
clear.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Pratik. So even you guys can let me know if you are not able to hear me properly in between, okay? So let's get started. So if you guys remember, yesterday's class was a very basic class. We did a basic setup. So I hope everyone joining has their VS Code installed along with Node.js, right? So that will be the primary prerequisite to actually attend today's class, right? Because I want you guys to parallelly have a hands-on experience as well while I teach you some concepts, right? So we just started discussing like what are variables. We created our first variable, right? And once you see this, like whenever I call console.log with the variable name, right now the variable name, the value of that variable is getting printed out in console, right? So we saw that. Okay. So what are the different ways you can define a variable? So var is actually a keyword in JavaScript. Okay. So we have different allocated keywords in JavaScript, right? So those are like var, let, and const. So once you type something called as var, you notice the color changing to a different color node. This is the JavaScript way of suggesting, or any language way of suggesting, like these are reserved keywords in Node.js. Okay, so that means when you create a variable, it is expected that you do not give the variable name as var. Okay, so this will turn out to be a bad practice. Okay, this is a bad practice. Do you understand that? So when I say var of variable of name variable, it is not allowing me, because why? Because var in itself in JavaScript is a reserved keywords. Okay, so that means these keywords have certain meanings to it. You cannot redefine the meaning of this keyword. Same goes with let and const. Okay, so just like we create a variable say var, we can create another variable with say type as let and last name as something. Okay, so that works, right? And you can create n number of variables like using this kind of syntaxing, right? So you can just provide the var keyword once, and you can just say that age is a keyword, right? My city would be my keyword. The country I'm living in, that is also another variable that I wish to create, right? And similarly, name can also be a different variable that I create. So here you can see a singular invocation of this keyword var followed by all the variable names, right? So here it is very clear, like variable, once you define it, you can just mention n number of variable by comma separated values. So this is also allowed, right? And then simply you can start defining the values of this variable. Say I am of age 25, correct? And then my city is Mumbai, something like that. Okay, Mumbai being a string, I would give like this, right? What happens here, like when I say console.age, what is the expectation you guys have? Like if I run this script, what is going to happen here?
25 will be print.
25.
Yeah, that's right. So I will come to that later. Let me comment all the previous console log statements. So as one of our colleagues said, if I run the script, it is very clear that 25 will be printed. Okay. What if after this console.log statement, I just update the value of my variable to say 26? Okay. And now try to print this statement again. So what would happen in this case?
25 and 26 will be print.
Only
Only
Okay.
26 will print.
Okay. Okay. No worries there. So if you see this line number 23 and 27 are individualistic to each other. Okay, so that doesn't mean that if I repeat myself, it is going to run only once. Okay, line number 23, program will execute, it will come to 27, it will execute again. So that's why when you see the age variable had a value 25 as defined by me. Okay, that's the reason you see 25 getting added. Okay, but after that, I am reassigning the value 26 to this variable, right? Same variable, I am just simply reassigning the value. You see this in action. So 25 was assigned to age, so that's why we saw 25. What I did in 20 line number 25, I reassign the value age to a value new value which is 26. Okay, so now whenever I call this variable age, the new value which is 26 gets appended. Okay, so there are use cases for this where you want to reassign a value of a variable. Okay, so what if I create a constant? Okay, or what if there is an issue with this, right? So for example, if I want to have my name, okay, so my name being my first name, right? And then if I want to print this statement, okay, console.log name, and we see this that my name gets printed, no worries there. Okay, but what if someone changes my name? Okay, and we are allowing this to happen, correct? What if you want to define something and user or the program should not do this action, should not reassign the value? So in those cases, what I can do is I can simply make my name as constant, right? Because if you see, my age can be a variable, like each year passes and I'm increasing the order in which I'm aging, correct? But my name is something that would remain constant, right? Or my occupation is something that would remain constant, right? So in that case, what I can basically do is basically if I want to say that I want to create some constants, right? Constants, right? Say const, the value of pi is constant, right? 3.14. You cannot define pi again by value of pi, say 5 or 6, right? That will be a wrong information. Similarly, if my occupation, if that is a constant thing, I can keep it that way. Okay, and if I do a console.log output, I will see the value of occupation. Okay, now see the magic here. If I want to reassign my value to say tester, okay, will this allow?
No.
No,
No.
no, right? I haven't added a condition here where we can actually uh, check this compile time errors here itself. Okay, so if I just try to reassign the value to say occupation equals to tester, you see there is no error on the screen. Okay, but let me go ahead and try to print this again. Okay, just that we see it in action, and let me just comment all the other parts that we have defined before. Okay, I believe we do not have any other console.log output. Okay, there you go. So right now, let's see what would happen here. Okay, let me just comment out this part first to show you that when we run this, I see a correct output, say developer. Okay, if I reassign this value, there is no error on the console. But let me rerun the script. You see that there is no issue in compile time. Did you see any issue over here? No, right? It's still JavaScript still allowed me to reassign my value to tester. But in runtime, when I ran this script, right, then only I saw an issue, and that issue clearly states that in line number 44, right? This is a very important tool, guys. Whenever you see a console.log, right, it will clearly tell you in which line there is a fault. So it clearly says in lesson 1.js, there is a line called 44 line, and there is a problem. So the problem is occupation equal to, we see there is a reassignment happening, and that reassignment is not allowed. There is a type error. So assignment to constant variable. You cannot reassign to a constant variable. Okay. But this is one more drawback of JavaScript. Okay. I would be talking many drawbacks of JavaScript while we uh, discuss this course, because our real motivation is to learn TypeScript, right? And the reason, one of the reason JavaScript becomes a little obsolete is like it is not able to catch error prior to the runtime, right? It's very dynamic in nature. That is one of its main quality and also its main drawback. Okay, so you can say it is both its strength and its weakness, that it's very dynamic in nature. Okay, so I will just add a comment over here. Reassigning the value to constant will throw error, right? And I will add one more statement. In JS, there is no way to see compile time errors, only failure during runtime, right? So you guys agree that this is a big problem in JavaScript, right? Because as a developer, you can make this mistake, right? And you would realize this mistake only after this particular script is running in an prod environment, production environment, stating that you made a gruesome mistake of reassigning a value to a constant variable. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So I may have to comment out this part so that we do not run into compile time error again when we run this particular script.
Yes, Cyril, I'm John here. I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
On line number 9, we are defining the variables. So on the same line, can we assign the values?
Line number 9, where? This
19,
one?
19, 19. No,
19.
19,
Okay.
19, sorry.
So you mean like, can I do it in this way? So can I say variable age?
Age is equal to some 21,
Yeah,
city.
that is allowed. That is what we have done it over here. Correct?
Yeah, so on the same line for all the variables, we can give the right.
Yeah, we can give. But while defining, you may have to give it in again var equals to city, again var equals to country. Like in this fashion, you can give it. Another way of defining all the variables together is like just provide the keyword at the front and then all the variable names with a comma separated values. Okay,
Okay.
I did some mistake. I will correct it. Otherwise, I will land in error somewhere. Okay, so this was a simple
Correct
variable
one
types that
comment
we
for
discussed.
the termination is not necessary for this lines.
Termination where here you may see this comma.
Yes, yes, it is not necessary.
Not really necessary, but as a good programmer, it is a good practice if you add a delimiter at the end of your code. Okay,
Okay,
in
okay,
JavaScript, TypeScript, in most of the cases, it's very dynamic and it's okay if you do not follow this termination at the end. But I will still suggest like you follow this kind of syntax where you're adding a delimiter at the end of your code.
okay, okay, fine, understood.
Okay.
Hi,
So
sorry,
Cyril, what about
Cyril.
the data types? What about the data types?
Yeah, I will
They
come to
accept
that.
all the data types.
Yeah,
Excuse
I'm
me,
just
Cyril. So why
yeah.
did you use let on the line 20 after the sorry, line, yeah,
Line number 12, right?
12, yeah. Why did you
So
use the let last name instead of var?
yeah, I will come to that. So var, let, and const, we have three kinds of keywords over here. Each type of this keyword has a different set of power assigned to it. So what does that mean? Basically, with variable as type, you can reassign the value. That is allowed, okay? But with let, reassignment is allowed, but you cannot reassign to a different data type. Okay, so that is not allowed with let. Like tomorrow, like what I can do is I will show you some examples with var and let. right? I think const and this var is pretty clear to every one of you. Var and let is something a new confusing topic for some people. It's only basically that what kind of assignments can be done with var and let.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here yesterday. So does that mean this is not Playwright? This is JavaScript you're teaching?
Yeah, that's right. This is JavaScript.
Okay. I thought you don't need to know JavaScript to learn Playwright, isn't it?
No, you still need to learn a language. So my primary focus will be to teach you TypeScript. Okay. But to teach you TypeScript, I still have to make you understand the fundamentals of JavaScript because TypeScript as a language is actually built over JavaScript.
Okay.
Okay.
And sir, this JavaScript is case sensitive or no, not a case sensitive language?
Case sensitive in terms of what? What exactly?
Like if something is, if we are writing, then that need to be write in the same way only, or we can write it like following some capital, small letters, all those things. No, if we are using where as a VR in a small letter, so is it necessary to use it the same manner, or we can write it in a any way?
Normally,
Keywords and all those things.
VAR as a keyword is only read by JavaScript if you write it in a all smalls. So
Okay,
those are case sensitives. So there are some reserved keywords in JavaScript and any languages. So you need to follow the same keyword.
tactical manner.
So yeah. So to define any function, you may have to write a keyword function before it. Okay. So you cannot have a function with name as function. Okay. That creates a lot of confusion to JavaScript or any language. I mean, all the languages are pretty similar in behavior when it comes to reserved keywords.
Okay, sir. And also like lesson1.js file name, you took first letter as a capital, so it's not a mandatory or is
No, listen, that doesn't matter. The file name can be any arbitrary name.
zero. So reserved like keywords only have to follow with the same man. What you
Same manner. Yeah,
okay.
that's right. But there are still some coding standards that we like to follow, right?
Zero.
So we will be following those anyway, right? So
Zero.
now moving on to data types. Okay, I would come up with some better examples to let you really know what is the difference between var and let. Okay, that we can do it in tomorrow's class. I thought like I can give you some basic understanding on languages first, and then we can just move on. Okay. This content that we are discussing, it's pretty much common across all the languages. Okay. So that's why I want to just brush you up on certain basic aspects of languages so that we can get started. Okay. So when we talk about data types, are you guys aware like what kind of data types are available? Not only in JavaScript, I am just asking in general.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you name those?
So
Yeah, like uh, int, byte, short, long, double, boolean, uh, string, char. I think these are the
load,
yeah,
boolean,
float.
Float. Okay.
yeah,
So many people coming from Java, I believe.
Yeah,
right.
correct.
Okay, I get that.
There, sir, we called it as a primitive data type and non-primitive data type.
That's right. That's right.
String and
Hmm.
string.
But when coming to JavaScript, right, we do not have so many characteristics or different data types, right? Because for JavaScript or TypeScript, all this constitutes like a single data type that is a number data type. JavaScript tries to make things simpler in nature. Okay, more like simpler in nature. So when I say variable, say my middle name is equals to Kumar or something. This is of type string, right? So whatever value that I define in double quotes is assumed that this middle name is of type string. So now if you mouse over on middle name, you see the syntax getting changed, like var middle name is of type string, right? So dynamically JavaScript understands the type of a variable based on the assignment that you're doing. correct? So string being a type, and then if I want to say pin code something something, that will be of type number. Like how do I know that? Like if even if I remove this comment statement, if you just mouse over on your pin code as a variable, JavaScript is smart enough to understand that you have assigned this to some arbitrary number. So now the type is of type number, right? So mostly like, there are so many different data types available, but in most of the cases, we stick to 3 to 4 data types. Uh, those are primarily required for us to get along with our day-to-day activities, right? So string being one, and if I want to say that whether this Kumar is employed or not, right? So that is of type Boolean, right? So if you see this keyword that is true or false, these are also some of the reserved keywords in JavaScript or any languages. Okay. So when I say is equals to true, right, without the double quotes, there is no error because it understands this is a reserved keyword, meaning that is employed is of type Boolean, right? That means is employed can be only true or false, right? Meaning whether there are only two conditions, there is no middle way. Either he is employed or he is not employed. So this kind of type is called as a Boolean type, right? And then additionally in JavaScript or TypeScript, we have additional type called what are the number of cars he has, okay? Or number of children, number of cars will be better. Number of cars equals to undefined. So undefined is also one of the types, data types in JavaScript. You might have not come across undefined or null being a type in Java, but in JavaScript, we have a special type that is undefined. Okay, so undefined means I don't know what is that value that this number of cars will carry. It can be a string, it can be a number, it can be a boolean, right? So that's why if you mouse over on this variable, say number of cars, this becomes of type any, right? And this is a very dangerous class to have, very dangerous type to have, right? Because we do not have control over this number of cars, right? So when I say number of cars is equals to 2, that is allowed, no issues there. Can I reassign this value to null? Even that is allowed. Why? Because now it is of type any. It really doesn't matter what kind of data you want to assign this value to, right? So in general, I would say JavaScript as a language is a dynamically typed language. We already saw on that, right? We don't specify any explicit types, right? Basically, I would like to add like JavaScript is a weakly typed language, or you can also say JS brings out ambiguity. Okay, flexibility is one more good thing, but I just want to talk about JavaScript in a negative way because I can motivate you guys to learn TypeScript, right? So that's why I will just like to say that it is a dynamically typed language. The second thing is it brings a lot of ambiguity, right? So that's what JavaScript is about. Any questions here so far? People who are already familiar with some other language, you would find it very easy. But people who are new to learning a new language, if you have any concerns with any data type, right, you can straight away ask me, right? One more data type or one more type of assignment that I have missed out is a null type. Okay. So if I say is having license, and if I define this value as null, okay. So null is also one of the data type, right? And this is also a very ambiguous data type. That means it carries the type of any category, a generic category.
Sil, can you please explain undefined and null data type again?
Yeah, sure. So undefined is something like that. Just imagine that how many number of cars you have. If you do not have an exact figure in your mind, right? You can make it as undefined. So undefined means this is not defined yet. So it can be anything. That is what undefined means. Null simply means it is carrying the value null inside this. Okay. So when I do a console.log output of is having license, you will get a different value, right? So if I do a simple console.log statement of number of cars, okay, hopefully we haven't created any error already. Let's see. So we see the number of cars, the value is getting as null. Okay. And if I do the same action for console.log statement for the one that was undefined, right? So what was undefined? Number of cars. So as it is undefined, we are getting the value as null. Okay. I reassign the value. That's why it was coming as null. Let me rerun this one. Yeah. So you are getting it as undefined. And if I want to run something like that, a variable that has a value of null, you see the value getting updated as null. Okay. So these are again two different data types available. A very dangerous type of data types to have. Okay. Always remember that you should always avoid data types which are giving you a value undefined or null. Okay. But there are some use cases when it comes to front end development. So that's why they have these keywords as well. So this was very a basic level of class. We just talked about variable types, how to define a variable using the var keyword and const keyword. Var and const, we already saw a difference that if you want to define something and you want to avoid reassignment, you can always use the keyword as const, right? And if you believe that you want to create a variable for which the value may change or may get reassigned, you can always go with the var or the let as the keyword approach. Okay, so let me just create one more file over here.
Sir, is it necessary to use these keywords for variable or
Yes,
can
yes,
also?
JavaScript only understands a variable once it has some keywords in front of it. So if you just type a keyword here, say mobile, you want to create a variable, say mobile number. Okay, JavaScript won't understand that this is a variable. Okay, only when you add a keyword in front of it, say VAR or LET, then only it understands that now you are creating a variable which is having a name called mobile number. Okay, so that is important to have a keyword in front of it.
Did you explain the let keyword?
No, no, I haven't explained let keyword because I am yet to explain you the difference between var and let, and it will be not it will not be justified if I just give you some random example. So I want to come up with some good examples where I can clearly show you where you need to use var and where you can use let. Okay, so that we can have it in the next class. Basically, it's a simple reassignment. But I do not have a good example to share with you right now, so I am not taking it right now. Okay, I see a hand getting raised. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask.
So basically, data type we used to uh, set the range or what type of values we can assign to the variables, right? Like
What type of values? Okay, you have to be
values.
very, yes, yes,
Uh,
yes. Only
so
type.
here, like
Hmm.
type, yes, sir. So here, like, sir, we are using null undefined. So can we assign this null undefined to any kind of like data type. This data type values, like for example, null undefined, you assign to the variables. So can we assign this to any type of variables, these values? Like where like for any kind of variables, can we assign this data type undefined, null, all this?
Hello?
Hello, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
am I? I just lost you
uh,
for a second there. Let
yeah.
me.
I mean, like, sir, I just confused. Like, we basically use the data types to
Mm,
assign the values, like to variables, like what kind of values we can assign that defines the
mm.
data type, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So here we have like undefined, null, and
Mm,
um, numbers, string.
correct.
Okay. So, and we are assigning these values to the variable. So, but where is a keyword only, right? Where is only keyword, right?
Where is just a keyword to define saying that middle name is a variable. Okay.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
is like a notifier, right? When I say where and some keyword, say pin code, this simply means that pin code is now a variable. Okay.
Okay. And we
That
can assign
hmm.
any kind of data to this variable.
Yeah, any kind until and unless I do not assign it to some value, right? Until and
Okay.
unless say when I say where pin code is equals to some value, that value
Hmm.
of type is now becomes the signature of this pin code. Okay. So
Okay.
when
Okay.
once I say
Okay.
variable pin code is equals to 4000, then only if you mouse over on this variable, it says like now variable pin code is of type number. So the
Okay.
signature of this
Got
variable is
it.
only defined once you assign something to it.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Until
And sir,
unless
I
it
one
is
more
just
question
an
got in my mind,
empty
sir.
variable,
Yeah. Sir,
ambiguous
one more
variable.
question. Yeah. I mean, like, sir, we are assigning
Yeah,
the
yeah.
values here. Does we have any default values also for this, or we don't have? I mean, like, if you are not assigning the
No, no.
values, then if we want to go to print it, so what value it will get printed for the
It will
variables?
simply say that nothing is defined. So if you want to see it in practice, I can just create a variable, say salary, right? And I just do a console.log out statement, right? Basically, what would happen is it won't understand what you have defined. So basically, it is an inbuilt type. It says undefined. Because if you see when I do not assign any value to this variable salary, it automatically becomes of type any. Okay,
Undefined. Yeah.
that means I
Yeah.
haven't defined what my salary is. So this is inbuilt types. But you
Got
can
it.
also forcefully define a salary or variable with a type called undefined. There are some
Sure.
use cases, but to be very frank, when it comes to our uh, uh, using
Automation.
of language, we won't come across much of undefined or null. Okay, so
Thank you.
yeah, that's fine. So we will do some exercises around string manipulation. Okay, so now we have a general understanding like we can create a variable of type string, right? Whenever I call middle name, this is now defined as type string. Okay, and there are some useful operations that we can do it on string. Okay, so just for an example, if I create a variable, say variable price equals to 100 rupees, okay, and I define a different variable, say item that is equals to some book. Oh God. Hello.
Yeah, we are able to hear.
Okay. I think I am frequently facing some Wi-Fi related issues over here at my end. Okay. Uh, yeah. I think we are back now. Hello. Is my screen still visible to you guys?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's fine. So just imagine I create two kind of variable and I just want to print a message to a customer. Okay. And the message is something like this, like the price of books is rupees 100. Okay. If I do a simple console.log statement of this message, right? I would get the string. That is pretty much clear, right? You will get the same string as the price of book is rupees 100. Okay. But what if I want to dynamically change this message? So that means I want that price should be whatever price the user sends me, and the commodity what is defined in this variable called item. Okay. So how do I do that? We have a concept called, we can concatenate two strings. Okay. So message is of type string. I can add a different string to the same message, right? So how do I do that? The price of, so instead of books I need the item name, right? So I would just add two plus operators, right? And I would add an item over here. Okay. But this does not resolve my problem because the price of this much would be a string and I am just adding my item over here, right? And that becomes an additional string. Okay. So now what will happen? The price of whatever thing is rupees, this will come up, right? So this is how you can concatenate two different strings. So if I rerun this again, you will find that the price of book is rupees 100. So I can dynamically change this to pencil or anything, right? And that becomes a variable for me. Similarly, instead of rupees 100, I can just add the price parameter to it, correct? So I can just add the price parameter to it. Again, is rupees becomes a different string, right? And you are just ending with some value, correct? Now, if I rerun this part, you see the price of pencil is rupees 100. So I can dynamically change this value anytime. Okay. This kind of operations on a string is called as string concatenation. Concatenation simply means addition of two strings. Okay. In JavaScript, there is a different way of achieving the same task, right? Using an interpolation method type, right? Very much simpler, but very much similar in action. Only there will be some syntax changes that we would be following, right? So what I can basically do is I can print another message variable, say message1 equals to, and observe that above your tab button you have this character. I really don't know what to call this character, but these are not single quotes. These are italic single quotes, you can say. These are present just above your tab button, right? And here you can just write the price of your selected item. An item being what? My item is this variable. Okay, so this kind of syntaxing is called interpolation, is rupees, and then I can again provide variable with this kind of formatting. Okay, so whatever you provide inside dollar and curly braces is understood that this is a variable. Okay, so this is another way of writing message, right? And now if I just run this code again, the message 2 is getting printed, right? Because let me just change this to message 1, right? So that we see it in output. So now you see the price of a selected item, colon, whatever item you're passing, that item is getting passed, is rupees 150. Is getting passed over here. Okay. So to work on string, you have two kind of action. One, you can do this kind of operation using plus plus and the variable name. The simplest or the accepted way of working with different strings in the same concatenation manner will be example mentioned in line number 8. Okay, so if you have come across this for the first time, this would be something new to you, something more easier to follow. You would find me using that syntax more often, right, rather than following this kind of approach. Okay, but whatever works for you, you can do with that approach. Okay, I just showed you two different ways of doing the same action in JavaScript.
Sir, in line number 6, sir, if we use the
Hmm.
single code, then will we get error or single code
Yeah.
also will not? Yeah. At line
Single
number
quote, double
6,
quotes, both are, yeah,
treated
both
as
are
same.
considered as treated as string only. In JavaScript, in Java, you find hard coded that you need to pass it as double quotes. But let me see that. Okay, so if I just do a single quote, the price of mentioned, and then I can add plus plus item. I think that also work. Okay, I believe so. Okay, but we can just try it out whether we have any restrictions
Sure,
in
sir.
that.
Yeah. I just doubted, sir, do we need to
Yeah, that
remember
works.
we can use a same
No,
single?
no, no, no. You can follow any double or single. Okay, so that also works. Single quotes also work. I showed you in the example.
I was writing this message one, but I somehow didn't get
Right.
like uh,
Mhm. The way I
what
got the output. Okay, the simple thing will
yeah.
be this character that you see, right? This is actually, are you familiar with this character tilde that you see it on the screen? So if you shift press this button, you see a character tilde, right? This is called tilde. If you do not press shift press this button, you see this kind of character coming up in your keyboard.
So we
I
have
really
to
don't
press
know what is
shift
that
after the
character in
icon.
English.
What do
Yeah,
we
you will
do?
find it on the
Sorry.
keyboard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a button called tab on your keyboard. If you observe on your keyboard,
Oh,
all
okay.
the standard Windows keyboard has a button called tab, T-A-B,
Yeah,
right?
got it.
Just above this tab, before one, you have this button to come up with this character.
And also Cyril, and also those keywords like where, letter, const are not mandatory to define a variable, right?
We're lost, Cyril, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh,
The symbol is called backtick. Okay, thanks Vihari for providing that info. Okay, so that character is called as backtick. Okay, guys. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
so Cyril, I have a question here. Those keywords where we are declaring a
Yeah.
variables like where, let, and const are not mandatory, right?
const. No, those are mandatory. If you want to define a variable, you have to say var and then the variable name.
No, so without that, I'm able to run it.
Those
So without
are
giving those.
without that means you can just create a message and type in some message and you
Yes,
can
yes,
still do
yes.
that, right? That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah.
That is still a connected in between. I was sharing my screen, right? It got disconnected.
Disconnected, sir.
Okay, okay. Can you see my screen again?
Not yet.
No.
Okay, just wait for a moment.
Sir, I didn't catch that because when I did the flower brackets and the dollar sign, it is just showing me as a message, and it is just when I print it, uh, it is just showing me the everything. So I'm not getting like what you're getting, like the dollar in a different color or something like that. So it is taking as a message
Okay,
to me.
color and all is fine because I'm using a different VS Code extension with some settings. But if you have defined the value in the value of that variable will be printed out to you. Okay, so in console.log, you should be printing the original message variable over here.
Oh. So I don't see that, like for item and price, I got a different color and I got it, but this one is showing like a message only for me. What would be the issue?
Maybe syntax issue. If you're following the same syntax work for you, there is no other change.
Yeah, I don't see somehow. Yeah, I think I'm following everything same only. Okay.
Okay, okay. Let's see that maybe some other issue, but let's see that at the end of the class.
Okay. Unless, mine is not like double coded, some are single coded, some are double coded, but the only thing is I see
Mhm.
that the item is like single coded for me and yours is double coded. That's it. I see the difference.
Single quoted for me, double quoted for me. I didn't get that. You mean these two examples?
Yeah, like I was just comparing yours and mine, so why I'm not getting the item you
Okay,
have
okay.
pencil, which is double coated for you, but mine is single coated. That is the only difference I find in myself. The rest are like same.
Oh,
The message one is also
okay.
single coated, so I have a single coated, but nothing changed on my side. I don't know what is the
So this is
reason.
not a single quote. This is a backtick.
Oh, oh, okay. So you said what
This
is
I
that
already
process?
told you guys.
Yeah, I didn't understand
This
that.
and this is
What?
different. Okay, so that's why I also told there is something called tab in your keyboard
I
above your
understood
tab
that, but I
button.
didn't know
There is a
where to
button.
insert
Yeah,
that. Okay, now I got it. Thank you. I got it. Thank you.
okay. Yeah, yeah, sure. So please follow the exact syntax that I'm following. Uh, Small issues, it's very hard to understand. Like going on. Okay, so have you guys come across such kind of string manipulation? Tried this, or is this something you are seeing it for the first time? People who are new to language, but uh, people who have already worked in Java, Java may already know about it. So anyway, I'm just going a bit fast, covering a very small topic because next class I would be explaining you
Sir,
very
actually, you're
niche
breaking,
differences.
sir. We cannot hear you
Uh,
properly. You're breaking too much.
Oh, okay, okay. Can you hear me now? Am I audible right now?
Yeah, now it is good.
Is it clear right now, or am I still? Okay, voice is unclear. Okay. Yeah. So I had a connectivity issue in between, so that might be one of the reasons. Okay. But anyway, the concepts that we have discussed till now are pretty clear, right? Pretty straightforward, I believe. Okay. So if you guys have a little bit of more energy, I can just add one more. We can just discuss one more topic over here. So I can just add a lesson 3. Okay. And in lesson 3, we'll be talking about objects. Okay. So objects in JavaScript. Okay. So before I go to objects, very simple that we have discussed so far. We discussed how we can define variables, right? Then we moved out to what are constants as variable, correct? Lesson 2 was a simple activity of how we can manipulate string using two different kinds of approaches. One is the straightforward approach where you concatenate string. So this is string A plus the item, that is the variable, and then the string B. So this is how you can concatenate string, right? And the second way that I showed you was basically a dynamic approach of adding any variable to your string variable using the interpolation method, or this is also called as some template literals or something like that. Okay, and this is the backtick character
Again,
that we use to do that. And anything that you provide inside dollar with curly braces is assumed by JavaScript as a variable. Okay.
So why is
Yeah. Any
message
questions?
one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to ask why is message one preferred against the message two or message? Sorry.
Message is preferred by me.
Oh, okay.
I
No.
prefer.
What I'm saying is, why are we doing the curly
I,
braces? I mean, why is curly braces preferred against that plus one?
mm. No. I told you like functionally both works in the same fashion. There is
Mm-hmm.
no difference in one and two. The approach that I am showing here is more readable to me. Okay. I find this approach to be more real and user friendly for
Got it.
myself.
Okay.
Okay. But you
Thank
can
you.
follow any two. Okay. And yeah. So
Sir, I
moving
have
on,
one
I would
question.
just create some simple. Yeah.
One question.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
If the keywords given within the curly braces is not defined, what would be the output?
Uh,
Will it throw any error?
so it will not understand anything. It will throw an error. That because itself is expecting. Okay. So this I type in a variable dollar and a curly brace. You need to define a.
I'm not able to hear you. So
Is it clear now?
It's audible, but it's breaking a lot.
Breaking in between. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Is it clear? I just changed to a different network.
Right
I
now,
hope
yes,
that.
sir, it is clear, sir.
Okay, great. So we'll just clear like touch base one more topic and then we'll wind up for today. Okay. Tomorrow we'll just brush up whatever we have discussed so far. So initially I'm making it very slow because I want you guys to hop in, understand the basics, and then we can do some more level of exercises which are a bit complicated. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know what are objects in JavaScript. Okay. So when I say a variable person equals to, and then in double curly braces, I can just define what a person is, right? So a person will have something called as first name as its property, right? So I will just give some example. Okay, this is one example. So a person, it will have a name, a last name, some age, some uh, a city, and is employed or not. Correct. And when I say that console.log output of this person, okay, so what will be the output of this console statement? Can any of you tell me?
Hmm,
First
say
name,
the
Ba-
job
last name, age,
26 Mumbai
city
to
is
All
employed, sir. All
okay.
things.
all things, right? So when I call this object person, it will tell me what this object is about. Okay. So if you just mouse over on this variable person itself, right? It has defined what a person is for me. So if I just mouse over on person, so person is of type variable, which can have this 4 5 properties, right? And each property also, what is the type is defined over here. Okay, so person can have a first name that should be of type string, last name should be of type string, age can be number, city can be string, is employed should be a boolean. Okay, so this is how I create a object out of a variable. Okay, so person has now become an object. Okay, so what is the power of using this kind of approach? So for example, I want to know what is the first name of this person, right? So if I say that he is one of my employee, okay, so he's employee, some employee, and I want to know what is the name of this employee. So what I can do, if I type employee and then I just add a dot over it, right? You see whatever the properties against this employee are now accessible to me. Okay, you if you read along this, you will find that age is now a property of employee. Okay, any property of this employee can be accessible if I write this kind of syntax. So if I am only interested where this employee is from, I can simply type a console statement saying employee dot city. Okay, and this way you can only access what is the city in which this employee is residing. Okay, so this kind of syntax is basically called an object. How do you create an object? You define a variable equals to, and then you provide open and close parentheses. Okay, so this will be the basic syntax of creating or defining object in JS. Okay, what is the syntax? Basically, you create a variable, say new person, right? And then you have to give an equal to sign followed by open and close parentheses. Okay, so this is the basic syntax to follow whenever you want to create an object, right? And then object can have multiple properties, right? So basic example is like employee, employee's first name, last name, what age, is city, is from which city, is employed, right? Is a permanent employee or temporary employee, any variable property you can define. And you can access the properties of this object by just typing the object name dot and then all the properties which will be accessible to you. Okay, there is one more way of defining the same thing. I can also uh, call a property of an employee. Okay, so this way we have already seen it. The other way is actually you can provide open and close square brackets, and within that square brackets you can actually call the first name. Okay, so this is saying that I want to access the employee's first name. So this is again another approach of doing the same activity. Okay, so this is dot notation for you, and the approach, the second one is the bracket notation that you see. Okay, so the first approach is called as the dot notation, the second approach is called the bracket notation. Okay, and both will work. So you will get the output as Mumbai and my first name as Cyril. Okay, but what is more user friendly and readable, you can go with that kind of approach. Okay, but both are functionally same. Okay, and if you want to add one more behavior, say combining what we discussed in the early class using interpolation, so you can do that as well, right? So you can say employee details, and you can simply say name of type dollar, and here you can just pass the employee dot first name, right? And then if you want to pass something else, say city, you can do the same thing with a different approach, say employee, and you can pass city over here. Okay, so we just combine string interpolation, and instead of the variable, I'm calling the variable using two different kind of approaches. One is using the dot notation, the second using the bracket notation, right? And if I just rerun this again, I get the entire details. Employee details name colon is the variable that I passed, comma city Mumbai. Okay, so whatever works for you. So that's why I told like I would be using this kind of approach, because for me this is more readable for me when I read some code, right? So that's all. So I think we'll stop here because I don't want to take more complex topics, because that will take more 10 or 20 minutes. Any questions here with object creation in JavaScript or defining objects in JavaScript?
Why are we creating objects if we can define variables?
No, why is not a good question. This will be a different use case, right? So why is the question like if I want to create a variable where I want to have different properties associated with this variable, right? So in that case, object becomes the right choice for me, right? Just imagine you want to do the same exercise with only variables. How would you do that? You have to create a variable with first name, last name, age, city, is employed, right? What happens when you want to create another object, say employee 2? In this case, what would happen? An employee 2 needs to have a different set of property. I cannot say employee 1 and employee 2 are having same names, same last name, same age, right? So in this case, you will be going with the object creation approach.
Okay.
Each style of coding has different use cases, right? So that's why we have to learn each simple styles when defining each variable.
Does JavaScript has a array concept or it doesn't support
Yes,
array? Okay.
it has array, just like in Java or any other language. But
Sure,
we
sir.
will discuss that tomorrow. I thought like,
Sure, sir.
yeah. Okay. So we'll stop here for now, and do I open this?
I just had a question. For the first name, you just put like a flower brackets, but in the second one, you put city. So is it just a
Uh,
different syntax or is it like,
Different syntax, same functionality.
okay, same function?
Yeah, don't say flower brackets, please. Open and close parentheses would be a,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah. So let me just stop recording.